Have you ever felt time bend around you? A single awkward moment stretches endlessly, while entire weeks disappear without memory. That sensation is not random. It is the signature of a deeper trap, a pattern that has been holding you without your consent. I call it the observer loop. Here's how it works. Your attention lands on the same situation. It triggers the same emotion. That emotion drives the same action, and the action brings the same result. Then your attention circles back again. It feels like life is stuck on repeat, different faces, different settings, but the same script. The most dangerous part, this loop convinces you that nothing can change. You start to believe the story is permanent, but it isn't. The moment you can see the loop for what it really is, you weaken its hold. What you can observe, you can alter. What you can name, you can neutralize. You didn't stumble here by accident. If these words resonate, it's because something in your field has already chosen a different outcome. The fact that you are here is proof you're ready to break the loop, and there is a way, not just an idea, not just an inspiration, but a practical, repeatable protocol. Step by step, I'll show you how to spot your loop in real time. Interrupt it before it pulls you back. Reclaim your true observer power. And finally, install a new baseline reality. Stay with me. Because the hidden key you've been waiting for is already in your hand. Every loop begins with a hidden script. Think of it like an invisible script running quietly in the background of your life. You don't read it. You don't remember writing it, but you act it out day after day. And the strangest part is this. Until you see the script, you believe the play is real. The invisible script is not dramatic. It hides in ordinary patterns. You argue with your partner in almost the same way every few weeks. You face the same type of bill or financial stress, with only the numbers changed. Your health wavers in cycles, and symptoms returning with new names, but the same feeling. These are not coincidences. They are reruns of the same storyline. Here's the key. The observer loop is fueled by repetition, and the script is what keeps it running. Without recognizing the script, the loop feels inevitable. But once you map it, you break the illusion of permanence. So how do you do this? Take 3 areas of your life that feel the most repetitive. Often, it's relationships, money, or health. For each area, write down 4 things. What is the recurring scene example? I always end up overworking, then burning out. What exact emotion always appears first? Frustration, shame, fear, emptiness. What thought follows that emotion? I'll never get ahead. I don't deserve this. It's always my fault. What is the default action? Shutting down, arguing, overspending, retreating. When you put these on paper, you start to see the cycle like a stage play. Suddenly, you realize you've been repeating the same act with only new costumes and new actors. And here's the secret. Once a script is written down, it loses power. The loop thrives in vagueness. Clarity collapses confusion. By mapping your invisible script, you are already weakening the loop. Every loop begins with a spark. That spark is not the event outside of you. It is the starter emotion inside of you. Think of it as the frequency signature that calls the same storyline back, again and again. Most people mistake the trigger for the cause. They think, I'm upset because my partner said this, or I'm anxious because the bill arrived. But look closer before the words, before the bill. There is an emotion that flares first. That is the engine of the loop. For some, it is irritation, a flash of heat in the chest. For others, it is shame, a sinking in the stomach. For many, it is urgency, the restless push that whispers, do something now or you'll lose everything. And for some, it is emptiness, the dull ache that says nothing matters. This starter emotion is your loop's calling card. It is the first domino. Once it falls, the thoughts, actions, and outcomes follow automatically. If you miss the first domino, you spend the rest of the loop chasing symptoms instead of source. So here is the practice. Pause the next time you feel yourself entering a familiar scene. Instead of focusing on the story, ask, what am I feeling first? Not the 10th emotion, not the spiral that comes later, but the very first flash. Name it simply irritation, fear, shame, urgency. By naming the starter emotion, you cut the chain of unconsciousness. You begin to see that it is not the external world pulling you back into the loop. It is the frequency you are carrying forward. Here is the hidden power. The moment you identify the starter emotion, you gain choice. You don't have to remove it instantly. You don't have to force it away. Simply by catching it, you are no longer drowning in it, you are witnessing it. And the observer always has options. Imagine your attention as a quantum spotlight. Wherever that spotlight lingers, probability hardens into reality. The observer loop isn't just about what happens to you, it's about what you continue to illuminate with your awareness. Most people let their spotlight drift unconsciously. It hovers on the same worries, the same doubts, the same inner arguments. Day after day, the spotlight locks onto the same stage, and reality dutifully repeats the performance. The quantum spotlight audit is about reclaiming that light. For the next 72 hours, treat your attention as if it were currency. Each time you notice yourself stuck on a thought, a memory, or a fear, write it down. Don't judge it, just log it. Ask yourself 3 questions. Where did my attention linger the longest today? Which thought kept looping back? Which scene replayed most in my mind? At first, the answers may feel unimportant, but soon, you'll see patterns. You'll notice that your spotlight spends 80% of its energy circling the same themes. That is the loop feeding itself. Here's the shift. Once you see where the spotlight is shining, you can choose to redirect it. Even 5% of your attention moved toward a preferred state begins to collapse new probabilities. You don't need 100% perfection. You need consistent redirection. Think of it this way. Every log entry is like adjusting the spotlight a few degrees. One by one, you're pointing it away from the script you've been stuck in, and toward a stage where something new can appear. The audit is simple but powerful. Awareness first, redirection second. Because once you hold the spotlight, you hold the show. Every loop has a rhythm. The body memorizes the pattern long before the mind notices. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your muscles tighten, and before you even think, the loop has already taken over. To break the cycle, you must interrupt the rhythm. The fastest way to do this is through breath. The method is simple. The 3x3 breath reset. 3 nose breaths, 3 rounds. Here's how it works. Inhale deeply through your nose for 3 seconds. Hold gently for 3 seconds. Exhale slowly through your nose for 3 seconds. Repeat this cycle 3 times. Then, pause for 3 normal breaths before beginning the next round. That's 1 round. Complete 3 rounds, and you have interrupted the body's autopilot. Why does this matter? Because breath is the one lever that connects conscious mind to unconscious body. When you slow and pattern your breath, you send a signal to the nervous system. We are safe. We are not in danger. The body stops recycling the same stress chemistry, and the loop begins to lose its fuel. During the 3x3, focus only on the count. If thoughts come, let them float. If emotions rise, let them pass. The only task is to breathe with rhythm. The beauty of this practice is its portability. You can use it anywhere in a meeting, on a bus, in the middle of an argument. In 3 minutes, you can reset your physiology before the script has a chance to run. Here is the truth. The loop cannot survive without the body. When you calm the breath, you break the chain. When you break the chain, you take back choice. The loop doesn't just live in your thoughts. It lives in your nervous system. When the body believes it is under threat, it locks into fight, flight, or freeze. That chemistry feeds the observer loop, making the script feel unavoidable. To interrupt this, you need a switch. That switch is your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is like the master dial of your parasympathetic system, the part of your body that restores calm. When it's activated, heart rate slows, digestion restarts, and the body exits survival mode. You can't think your way into this state, but you can signal it directly. Here's how to flip the vagus switch place. Your palm gently on the center of your chest. Take a slow inhale through your nose. As you exhale, hum softly, letting the vibration resonate under your hand. Continue for 60 seconds. The hum is not random. It vibrates the vagus nerve, telling your system, it's safe now. The hand on the chest amplifies the signal by creating warmth and connection. As you do this, notice how your body shifts. Shoulders soften. Jaw loosens. Heartbeat steadies. You are literally changing the chemistry that fuels the loop. This practice is discreet and powerful. You can use it after the 3x3 breath reset, or anytime you feel the starter emotion rising. 1 minute is enough to reprogram your state. Remember, the observer loop is not only mental, it is embodied. By flipping the vagus switch, you reclaim the steering wheel of your physiology. And once the body calms, the mind follows. Once your breath is steady and your vagus nerve is soothed, the next step is to guide your system into coherence. Coherence is when the heart, breath, and mind move in harmony. In this state, the loop loses its grip because the body is no longer vibrating at the old frequency. The practice is called the coherence cue, and it's beautifully simple. Inhale gently through your nose for 5 seconds. Exhale smoothly for 5 seconds. Continue this pattern for 2 minutes. While breathing, hold a neutral image in your mind, something simple like a candle flame, a horizon line, or the feeling of open space. Why neutral? Because neutrality is the reset button. When you focus on a neutral image, you stop feeding the loop with the usual emotional charge. Your system shifts from chaos to balance, from noise to rhythm. At first, 2 minutes may feel long. Thoughts will try to intrude. That's normal. Each time they do, simply return to the breath count and the neutral image. The practice is not about perfection, it's about rhythm. What you'll notice is subtle but profound. Your heartbeat slows, your breathing feels smoother, and your mind begins to quiet. This is coherence. And coherence is the state where new possibilities can finally appear. The coherence cue is your anchor. Use it after the 3x3 breath and vagus switch to stabilize your system. Or on its own, whenever you feel pulled into the loop. In just 2 minutes, you can shift your frequency from the past to the present. Because here's the truth. When you breathe in coherence, you broadcast a new signal to reality. And reality always responds. The loop feeds on identification. The moment you say, "This anger is me," or "This fear is who I am," the script takes over. But there is a deeper position available, the position of the witness. The witness is the part of you that notices without being swallowed. And the fastest way to step into it is with a mantra. The mantra is simple. I am the space noticing this. Try it the next time you feel the loop pulling you in. A thought arises, nothing ever changes. Instead of arguing with it or trying to push it away, pause and whisper inwardly, I am the space noticing this. Immediately, you create a gap. You are no longer trapped inside the thought, you are observing it from a wider field. This shift may seem small, but it is quantum. The observer does not collapse into the frequency it watches. And what is watched can be changed. Use this mantra like a key. Each time the starter emotion flares, unlock the door by saying, I am the space, noticing this. Feel the words not just as language, but as reality. You are not the irritation. You are not the shame. You are the awareness within which they appear. At first, you may need to repeat the mantra often, even every few minutes. Over time, it becomes second nature. The gap grows wider. The script weakens. Here's the hidden truth. The loop cannot survive in the presence of the witness, because the witness does not play the role, it holds the stage. And once you remember that you are the stage itself, The actors of the old loop can no longer control the play. Every scene you experience is not just happening to you, it is happening through you. Reality is a quantum mirror, reflecting back the frequency you are broadcasting. When you see life this way, the loop transforms from punishment into information. Think of a mirror. If you frown into it, the reflection frowns back. If you smile, the reflection smiles instantly. The mirror is not judging, not deciding, it is simply returning what you project. Reality works the same way. The situations that repeat are not random attacks. They are reflections of the signal you've been holding. The trap of the observer loop is that you mistake the reflection for the cause. You think, I'm upset because this event keeps happening. In truth, the event is happening because the underlying emotion keeps broadcasting. The mirror cannot help but reflect it. Here's the practice. The next time you notice a repeating scene, pause and ask, what is this mirroring back to me? Maybe it's showing your fear of abandonment. Maybe it's reflecting your belief that money is always scarce. Maybe it's echoing your unspoken anger. When you ask this question, the loop stops feeling like a prison and starts acting like a teacher. Each reflection becomes a clue, pointing you toward the frequency you need to release. The quantum mirror is not here to trap you, it's here to wake you. Once you realize the reflection is not the truth but feedback, you stop fighting the scene and start shifting the signal. And here's the secret: when the signal changes, the mirror changes instantly. Just like a smile in the glass, your reality will return a new reflection. The observer loop convinces you that nothing changes. It whispers, no matter what you try, the outcome will be the same. That belief keeps you trapped. To escape, you must collect proof that reality is, in fact, responsive. This is the purpose of the evidence log. An evidence log is a daily record of micro shifts, tiny signs that your new signal is already working. These shifts may seem small at first, but they are cracks in the wall of the loop. Here's how to practice each evening. Write down 3 pieces of evidence that reality responded differently. They don't have to be dramatic. Maybe someone smiled at you unexpectedly. Maybe a bill was smaller than you feared. Maybe you felt calm in a situation that usually triggered anxiety. These are all valid, but the power of the log is cumulative. After a week, you'll have 21 proofs. After a month, nearly 100. When the loop tells you nothing changes, you can point to pages of evidence showing that everything is shifting. Why does this matter? Because attention builds probability. By recording evidence, you are training your spotlight to notice responsiveness instead of repetition. What you focus on grows. The log becomes a mirror of possibility. At first, your mind may resist. It will say, that doesn't count, or that's too small. Ignore the voice. Every shift counts, because each one confirms that the field is alive and responding. Here's the truth. You don't need one massive miracle to prove the loop is broken. You need a collection of small evidences, stacked daily, until the old belief collapses. And once it collapses, the loop can no longer convince you. You will know through evidence, not theory, that your reality is already changing. Most people believe reality changes when their thoughts change. But here's the hidden truth. It isn't your thoughts that collapse reality. It's your embodied frequency. Think of it this way: before a thought even arises, your body is already vibrating at a signal. That signal is what the field responds to. If your body is broadcasting fear, reality mirrors fear. If your body is soaked in shame, reality mirrors shame. Thoughts are secondary. They are echoes of the frequency you're already living in. This is why affirmations often fail. You can say, I am abundant 100 times, but if your body is still broadcasting scarcity, the field will return scarcity. The words bounce off, because the true signal comes from the state you embody. Here's the practice. Instead of trying to fix your thoughts, notice the baseline feeling your body carries when you enter the loop. Is it heaviness in your chest, restlessness in your stomach, a pressure behind your eyes? That sensation is your embodied frequency. The observer loop doesn't recycle ideas, it recycles states. Once you understand this, the real work becomes clear. Shift the body's frequency, and the loop collapses. This is why the breath reset, the vagus switch, and the coherence cue matter so much. They aren't just calming techniques. They are ways of changing your broadcast. And when your broadcast changes, the mirror of reality has no choice but to reflect something new. Here's the secret to remember. You don't think your way out of the loop, you embody your way out. The observer loop ends not when you think differently, but when you become different. This moment of transformation is what I call the coherence gate, the threshold where your identity no longer matches the past emotion. Here's how the loop works. The body remembers. It remembers fear, shame, urgency, or emptiness, and it keeps replaying them like a broken record. As long as your sense of I equals those emotions, the loop has a doorway into you. But the instant you shift, when you feel yourself no longer identifying with the old state, you step through the gate. Coherence is the bridge. When your breath, heart, and mind sync into rhythm, your inner signal stabilizes. The field no longer receives fragmented frequencies. It receives a clear, unified broadcast. That broadcast cannot sustain the old loop because the loop requires incoherence to survive. This is why surrender feels so powerful. It is not weakness, it is coherence. Surrender says, I no longer hold on to the identity that fuels the loop. I allow a new signal to take its place. Crossing the coherence gate is subtle but irreversible. You don't need fireworks or dramatic proof. You only need the quiet certainty that the past emotion no longer defines you. Here is the truth. The loop feeds on incoherence. The moment you become coherent, the loop starves. And when the loop starves, reality begins to reorder itself around your new signal. Imagine pressing your face against a cracked piece of glass. From that angle, all you see are fractures, lines, distortions, fragments of color. It feels chaotic, broken, hopeless. But what happens if you step back? Suddenly, the glass reveals itself as part of a larger window. Behind it, you see the whole room, the whole horizon. This is the holographic glass, a metaphor for how the observer loop traps you. When you are pressed up against your old emotions, you only see fragments of reality. Fear, shame, urgency, they fracture your perception. You mistake the cracks for the whole truth. The secret is distance. When you step back, when you witness instead of identify, you realize the cracks are only surface patterns. The deeper reality, the coherent field, is always intact. Here's the practice. The next time you feel overwhelmed inside the loop, close your eyes and imagine stepping back from the cracked glass. See the fractures blur, the distortions fade, and the larger picture come into view. Tell yourself, this is not the whole reality. I am the one who steps back to see more. This simple visualization interrupts the illusion of fragmentation. It reminds your nervous system that the chaos is not final. It's only a surface reflection. Beneath it, the window is whole. And here's the truth. Your reality has never been broken. Only your perspective was too close to the cracks. The moment you step back, the room reappears, the horizon opens, and the loop begins to dissolve. The first step of the Q-loop protocol is qualify and quell. Before you can end the loop, you must name it with precision and then calm the body that keeps fueling it. Qualify means defining the loop clearly. Most people speak about their struggles in vague terms. I'm always unlucky, or things never work out for me. But vagueness is the oxygen of the loop. To weaken it, you must qualify it like a scientist. Use the formula, when X happens, I feel Y, and then I do Z. For example, when my boss criticizes me X, I feel shame Y, and I withdraw Z. Or, when I check my bank account X, I feel panic, Y, and I overspend to escape Z. Write down at least one statement for each area of your life, where you see repetition. This turns the invisible into visible. Once the loop is qualified, the next step is to quell, to calm the body before the script can run. Remember, the loop needs your nervous system in chaos to sustain itself. If you bring your physiology into calm, the loop cannot proceed. Use the practices you've learned: the 3x3 breath reset, the vagus switch, or the coherence cue. 3 minutes is enough. Your job here is not to solve the problem, but to reset the state. When you qualify and quell, you are telling the field, I see the loop, and I no longer let my body run it automatically. You've taken the first decisive step out of unconscious repetition, because here's the truth. A loop you cannot define will keep defining you. But a loop you can name and calm is already losing its power. Once you have qualified the loop and calmed the body, the next step is to shift the signal. You do this by asking a different question, and then embodying the answer immediately. The question is not, what should I do, that keeps you trapped in the loop of action and reaction. The real question is, if I were already free, what would I feel first? This is subtle but powerful. Most people think change begins with doing, but reality responds to being. If freedom, abundance, or peace were already true, how would your body feel in this moment? Lightness in the chest, relaxed shoulders, a gentle smile. Once you have the answer, you don't wait, you quick embody it. Take the posture, breath, and micro-expression of the free version of you. Straighten your spine, breathe evenly, soften your gaze, allow the faintest smile, hold it for 2 to 3 minutes. Why does this work? Because the field doesn't measure your effort. It responds to your broadcast. By embodying the signal now, you collapse the probabilities of the old loop and open space for new outcomes. At first, your mind may resist. It will say, this feels fake, or I'm just pretending. Ignore it. Pretending is the doorway to becoming. Just like an actor who steps into character, you are rehearsing your new baseline until it becomes natural. Here's the truth. The loop is sustained by embodying the past. It ends when you embody the future now. Change becomes real when you can measure it. The final step of the Q-loop protocol is to quantify, to translate the subtle shifts you've created into clear evidence your mind can trust. Here's how it works. After you qualify and quell, and after you question and quick embody, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, how different do I feel right now compared to before the practice? It doesn't matter if the number is small. Maybe you moved from a 2 to a 4. Maybe you jumped from a 3 to a 7. What matters is that you register the shift. The mind needs proof, and numbers provide it. Next, write down the specifics. Did your breath feel lighter? Did your body loosen? Did your thoughts quiet? This documentation is not busy work, it's a reinforcement. Each detail you record teaches your system, this is real. The loop is weakening. Over time, the numbers create a track record. Imagine looking back after 30 days and seeing 30 pages of evidence, dozens of small shifts, each quantified and logged. This destroys the lie of the loop that says nothing ever changes. You'll have proof that change is constant. Why does quantification matter so much? Because the loop feeds on vagueness. It thrives when your experience feels blurry. But when you make the shift measurable, you anchor it into reality. Here's the truth. Miracles feel fleeting until you track them. When you quantify your shifts, you transform them from fleeting sensations into a body of evidence. And once you have evidence, the old loop can no longer convince you of permanence. The loop thrives on momentum. Once it starts, it carries you along like a current. That's why you need mini rituals, small, physical actions that break the current and anchor you back into choice. These are not grand ceremonies. They are quick, symbolic acts that tell your nervous system, the loop stops here. Here are 3 powerful mini rituals you can use anytime. The paper break. When you notice the loop activating, grab a piece of paper, write down the sentence, this loop ends, now. Then tear the paper into small pieces. The act is physical, visible, final. Your body registers the destruction of the old script as a signal of closure. The triple touch. Choose 3 neutral objects around you: a cup, a chair, your phone. Place your hand gently on each one in sequence, saying inwardly, I am here. I am now. I am free. This anchors your awareness in the present moment instead of the recycled story. San, the water seal. Fill a glass with water, hold it in your hands, and whisper, "This is my reset." Drink it slowly, imagining the new state flowing through your cells. Water carries intention, and your body, being mostly water, absorbs that message at a deep level. These rituals may seem simple, but their power lies in embodiment. The loop operates on autopilot. Ritual interrupts autopilot. It gives your body something tangible to do that marks the shift. The key is speed and repetition. Don't wait for the loop to escalate. Perform the ritual the moment you notice the first spark of the starter emotion. Over time, your body will learn when the spark appears. The ritual resets me. This conditions a new pathway, one that bypasses the old script. Remember, breaking the loop is not only about big realizations, it's about small, repeatable actions that retrain your nervous system. Each mini-ritual is a declaration. I am no longer at the mercy of the loop. I choose my signal. When the loop activates, the first thing it steals is your voice. You slip into silence. Or worse, you repeat the same old phrases that keep the script alive. Here we go again. I can't escape this. It's always the same. Words reinforce identity. If you want to break the loop, you need new words, microscripts. Microscripts are short, powerful sentences. You speak to yourself the moment you notice the loop. They act like verbal switches, cutting the old narrative and installing a new one. Here are 3 you can use immediately. I recognize the script. I choose a new signal. This shifts you from victim to observer. You're not trapped in the story, you're identifying it and choosing differently. This is just data, not destiny. Instead of treating the loop like fate, you reframe it as feedback. Data can be studied, understood, and released. Destiny feels permanent, data does not. San. My body remembers the past, but I broadcast the future. This separates old sensations from your present identity. Yes, the body may recycle fear or shame, but you are not bound to broadcast that signal anymore. The secret is not in the length of the words, but in their timing. Microscripts must be spoken as soon as you feel the starter emotion rising. Think of them as verbal antibodies most effective at the first sign of infection. Say them out loud when you can. Whisper them when you must. Even repeating them silently creates a vibration that interrupts the old frequency. That time, these microscripts become automatic. Instead of the loop hijacking your new voice hijacks the loop. Words are frequency containers. When you choose them consciously, you change what you emit. Here's the truth. The loop's strongest weapon is repetition of the old story. Your strongest defense is repetition of a new one. And every time you speak a microscript, you are declaring, the story ends here. Even with the best tools, some loops will catch you off guard. The starter emotion flares, the body spirals, and suddenly you're back inside the script before you can stop it. This is why you need a fallback reset, a reliable emergency protocol you can use anytime, anywhere, to break the loop when everything else fails. The purpose of the fallback reset is not to create transformation. It is to stop escalation. Think of it like pulling an emergency brake on a runaway train. You may not arrive at your destination yet, but at least you've stopped the crash. Here are 2 simple but powerful methods. The 90-second wall sit. Find a wall. Place your back against it and slide down until your thighs are parallel to the ground. Hold this position for 90 seconds while breathing steadily. The physical intensity pulls energy out of the mental spiral and forces your nervous system into reset mode. The countdown breath. Sit upright and close your eyes. Take a slow breath in, Then exhale while counting backward from 30. Each number marks a step down the spiral until you reach 0. By the time you arrive, your physiology has shifted and the loop has lost its charge. Both practices work because they shock the body into presence. The loop survives on momentum by giving the body something urgent and structured to do. You cut that momentum, use the fallback reset whenever you feel overwhelmed, trapped, or unable to apply the other techniques. It's your safety net. And here's the hidden truth. Resilience doesn't mean never falling into the loop again. It means having tools that pull you back faster each time. With the fallback reset, you'll never stay stuck for long. When you break a personal loop, the change doesn't stop with you. It ripples outward into the collective field through something biologists like Rupert Sheldrake call morphic resonance. The idea that once a pattern shifts in one place, it becomes easier for others to shift everywhere. Think of it like tuning forks. Strike one, and another nearby begins to vibrate at the same frequency. Human consciousness works the same way. When you embody coherence, when you end a loop inside yourself, that new signal makes it easier for someone else to end theirs. This is why your personal liberation is not selfish. It is service. Every loop you dissolve weakens the grip of the collective loop. Every time you embody a new timeline, you make it more available to the field. We all share. The old paradigm taught us to think of ourselves as isolated. My healing is mine. Your struggle is yours. But quantum reality shows us a deeper truth. We are entangled. Your coherence strengthens mine. My freedom supports yours. So the next time you break a loop, don't minimize it. Celebrate it. Each shift you create in your body is a contribution to humanity's awakening. Here's the hidden truth. Your victory is not just personal, it's collective. And the more of us who step out of the old loops, the faster the entire field evolves. Breaking loops can feel like a lonely journey, but it was never meant to be done alone. Transformation multiplies when shared. This is why I encourage you to form a coherence pod, a small group of 2 or 3 people who support one another in staying free from the loop. The rules are simple. Meet once a week, even for just 20 minutes. Each person shares one loop they're dissolving, one practice they used, and one piece of evidence that reality responded differently. No judgment, no fixing, just witnessing. Why does this matter? Because coherence is contagious. When one person in the pod stabilizes their signal, the others feel it too. It's like sitting near a tuning fork. The vibration spreads without effort. A pod also gives you accountability. The loop thrives in secrecy. When you hide your struggle, it grows. But when you speak it aloud in a safe space, it loses power. The act of being witnessed is itself a collapse of the old frequency. You don't need a large community. 2 people is enough. What matters is consistency, honesty, and the shared commitment to coherence. Here's the truth. Awakening accelerates in groups. A single flame can light another, but a cluster of flames creates a fire no loop can withstand. Awakening becomes real when it's lived daily, not just felt in moments of inspiration. To anchor this shift, I invite you to take a timeline pledge, a simple commitment to step out of at least one loop every day for 7 days. The pledge is straightforward each morning. Write down one loop you refuse to replay today. It could be a habit of self-criticism, a spiral of worry, or a familiar reaction in a relationship. Declare it clearly today. I exit this loop. Throughout the day, use your tools: breath reset, Vegas switch, coherence cue, mini rituals, or micro scripts. And in the evening, log your evidence. Did you catch the loop earlier? Did you choose differently? Did you feel lighter? After 7 days, you'll have 7 clear breaks. More importantly, you'll have proof that you can shift timelines by choice, not by chance. Why does this matter? Because collective change requires personal commitment. A single pledge may feel small, but multiplied across thousands of people, it becomes a wave. The more individuals who step into their higher timeline, the stronger the collective field becomes. Here's the truth. Awakening is not a theory, it's a practice. And every pledge you keep is a doorway into a new reality. Not just for you, but for all of us. Human consciousness works the same way. When you embody coherence, when you end a loop inside yourself, that new signal makes it easier for someone else to end theirs. A single flame can light another, but a cluster of flames creates a fire no loop can withstand. You did not find this message by accident. The loops you've lived were not punishment. They were invitations. Each repetition was pointing you toward the key you now hold the power to step out. Consciously and completely, you've seen the structure of the loop, learned to calm the body, practiced shifting the signal, and discovered the collective impact of your freedom. This is no longer theory, it's a living protocol. But remember, breaking the observer loop is not a one-time miracle. It is a daily declaration. Each breath reset, each microscript, each evidence log is a statement to the field. I am no longer defined by the past. I choose coherence now. And here's the greater truth. When you step out, you don't step out alone. Every shift you embody strengthens the field for all of us. Your liberation accelerates ours. Together, we create the momentum for a new collective timeline. So here is your declaration. Speak it, write it, or whisper it into your heart. This loop ends with me. I choose coherence. I choose the higher timeline. My shift is irreversible. Let this be your anchor. Let this be your gift to yourself and to the world. The door is open. Step through.